Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a fantastic afternoon. Content creation. I feel as though throughout the years leading up to now, content creation has essentially evolved into one of the more prominent fields that we are all accustomed to throughout humanity. I mean, you consider the many technological advancements, the solidification of various diverse platforms. I mean, just to name a few: YouTube, Instagram. I mean, these two platforms that I just listed have been paramount for over a decade. And I would perceive these platforms as the main poster child for creators to mainly express and to expose what they have to offer to their viewers for their respective niches. And going back to the first statement, technological advancements, I mean, we're currently in the year 2026, needless to say. But if you consider the years prior, all we had were Blackberries, we had sidekicks, we had flip phones. I remember instead of us having the luxury of having a flat screen TV, we had those huge box shaped TVs. Long story short, this should be obvious, but technology then wasn't as savvy, it wasn't as flexible compared to now. Nowadays, I mean, before I get into that, back then, I feel as though in order for you to be involved into the TV industry, the content creation field, it required you having expensive equipment, expensive cameras, having a crew, whatever the case may be. Nowadays, we have the privilege to be exposed to iPhones, Androids, and we are able to record from our iPhones, from our Androids, wherever we want, whenever we please. So, based off of that, content creation has definitely become something more accessible to an average Joe. You could be working a full time job and still have time during your lunch break or whenever you're off of work during your off days to create content, right? So it's definitely become something that has, it's definitely become oversaturated, I would say. But, that calls for various creations to be exposed, right? And it allows us as viewers to consume the minds of various people who may be derived from different demographics, different ideologies. And it's pretty interesting because more times than not, you're learning something valuable, something that we may not be able to learn from mainstream media. We are able to receive information from someone or a brand that isn't really restricted to having to comply with various regulations. So I feel as though that's pretty interesting. And even you, if you guys are watching this video and you may not know much about content creation, now we have the luxury, like, our cell phones, our computers, we have the accessibility to learn more about it. And I really enjoy this field because you can teach yourself how to do it. You can teach yourself, like I'm doing right now, how to speak and become accustomed to speaking in front of a camera, as well as you can learn how to utilize and perfect. I mean, I shouldn't say the word perfect because nobody's perfect, but you can utilize and leverage your skills with different video softwares, and it can become something that could emerge as something valuable in terms of you revitalizing your skill set. You can definitely learn valuable skills when it comes to this field. So I say all that to tell you, right? Content creation can be fun because a lot of people, they tailor their content strictly to something that they are extremely passionate about, whether if it's a video game or video games, whether if it's their favorite hobby like reading, a TV show, watching a TV show, playing sports, whatever the case may be. There are tons of ways, there are tons of avenues that you can explore to, disclose your personality, disclose your interest to someone that may have a congruent interest to you. And that's the power of the algorithm, baby. Whatever you are interested in, you may create content specifically tailored to that interest, and the algorithm will allow your content to be pushed to people of that same interest so you can establish a well defined community. However, the purpose of this video pinpoints one major thing that I feel as though a lot of content creators may fall susceptible to, even me at a given point of time. That is the specific angle that you are taking when it comes to creating content. Why are you creating content? Are you creating content with the right intention, the correct motive, or are you creating content strictly for an agenda, for you to gain something out of it? Consider that, because a lot of people, when they create content, more times than not, they're inheriting a facade. And on camera, it may appear as though they are extremely lighthearted. They're having the best time imaginable. Their life is extremely fulfilling. But behind the scenes, they may be miserable. And I know this may sound like a mere assumption, but the reason as to why I made that statement is because, like I mentioned, this is something I experienced. Ladies and gentlemen, do content for the love of it. Do it because you love it. Do it because you are extremely intrigued with what you are creating. Do not do content for anything else, but for yourself and for the love of it, ladies and gentlemen. Do not do it for external values. You may fall susceptible to wanting to accumulate a specific amount of views. You may incorporate the mindset of only publishing content for the analytical standpoint. You're creating content strictly for views, strictly for money, strictly for gratification from other people. But if you really think about it, is your peace going to remain stabilized if you take that approach? Do you really think it's going to remain stabilized? Because me personally, I do not think so. I think it is prone for it to be destroyed, your peace that is. For your peace to remain unstable instead of it being stable if you create content using that approach. Because when it comes to views, when it comes to creating content for money, stuff like that fluctuates. Whatever may be trending one day, the next week, it may not be trending anymore, which will cause your views to significantly decrease, inevitably. So it's going to be a never-ending cycle of finding trend after trend and taking advantage of it. And more times than not, even if you're posting something that may be a trend, there isn't a guarantee that your content is going to take off. And if it does take off, how often will it take off? Is it going to be a one-hit wonder? Is it going to be a consistent rate? And you're essentially chasing something that is not going to be guaranteed. So if your happiness, if your overall mental fortitude lies on something like that, think about your mental health. How do you think your mental health is going to respond to something like that? If you posting for the analytics, because consider this outlook, right? If you were purely posting content strictly for the views or attention, more times than not, in order for you to retain a sufficient amount of views to your liking, you're going to have to commit to something spectacular, something that may appear to be spontaneous. You're more than likely are going to have to shift your character, shift your personality into something foreign to you. Someone or something that is not you, someone or something that doesn't define you. And even if you are able to reach a status where you become a mainstream figure in the field, more times than not, in order for you to maintain that status, you're going to have to maintain your mechanisms that you utilize to accumulate that amount of leverage to begin with. Because if you pivot from that, you're going to lose your identity, the identity that you were able to formulate following you becoming that mainstream figure. And if you really think about it, that is a facade. That is a facade. That is fake. And think about how miserable it could quite possibly be having to maintain that character, having to maintain these mechanisms that weren't even aligned with your plan initially, that doesn't even align with the mechanisms that you were accustomed to initially. Imagine having to maintain something like that. Do you know how miserable that's going to be? Instead of, you know, maintaining your personal image, being yourself, embracing authenticity, resorting to mechanisms that you are accustomed to, while you're learning more and more mechanisms to add to your palette that you can become accustomed to. And even then, considering each end of the spectrum, both ends are more than capable of eclipsing virality, eclipsing your current status that you're trying to overcome, right? Now, obviously, if you resort to these foreign mechanisms, it could be a scenario of you reaching virality faster, right? But you have to consider the instance of not only the fact that good things come to those who wait, as well as whatever that may come easy, whatever that may come to you quickly, may not be worth it. It's all about the grind. It's all about the dedication, the persistence, perseverance. And you encountering all these hardships, you have to remain patient to amount to something significant in the field. You finally achieving that aspiration will be worthwhile. Worthwhile. And I wanted to mention something else that is synonymous to what I am referring to. Why do you think the term clout chasers exist? People are literally chasing clouts. The term clout chasing it has become a depiction of it being an intense, severe drug, ladies and gentlemen. People are doing things that are inhumane. People are risking their lives for views. I saw this video a couple weeks ago and I seen a lot of other creators react to it. This guy, and I'm not even going to say no names, and I'm not judging because I feel as though this is an ethical way to examine the horizons. There was a guy that was trying to invest himself into pedophilia to retain the attention of Gideon, to retain Gideon's attention, basically. And stuff like that is like, that is not real. You're performing for views instead of performing for what you want to be for yourself. Instead of being authentic, you're chasing clout. But moving on. And if you're considering the other end of the spectrum, right? Or I shouldn't say other end of the spectrum, the other point, that is posting for gratification, posting content and immediately expecting applause from people, immediately expecting praise from people. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but there's always going to be a specific crowd of people who may not like your content. It may not be your fault. More times than not, it is not your fault. You are simply posting content and you're utilizing your judgment strictly to post content based on what you love and based on what you may assume the other people may love. That is your viewers, that is the consumer. But no matter what you may do, you are not going to satisfy everyone. Especially if you're considering the what's the word? Trolling culture, rage bait culture. There's going to be trolls commenting hateful remarks under your video for their personal gratification, and now your happiness is zapped. Your happiness will cease to exist. Or there's going to be someone, like I said, no matter what you may do, you can polish your content to the fullest degree, fact check everything depending on what it is, present yourself accordingly. There's always going to be a specific group who just nitpicks and discovers something that they don't like, and they are going to retaliate against you. So I say all that to tell you, and I've mentioned this already, but it's definitely mandatory for me to regurgitate, to emphasize this briefly. Post content for you, for the love of the game. You're posting content because you are passionate about your niche. You are passionate about your personal brand. Do it for the love of it. The views will come naturally. The money will come naturally. But put I mean, put God first, but, put yourself in main priority. Put your interest in main priority. And I promise you, your happiness will remain stabilized. Your happiness will thank you. Your peace will thank you. Your mental health will thank you. And I know coming from me, this may not be, I'm really not the most reputable figure. I mean, this channel, as of right now, I don't know when you guys may be watching this video, but as of the time of this recording, this YouTube channel doesn't even have 100 subscribers. So not really the most credible figure, but I feel as though what I'm saying is factual. It is truthful. And I feel as though you can gain significant merit from considering everything that I mentioned. And not even that, right? And even considering other things, right? Yes, this YouTube channel may not be the most reputable, but believe it or not, I have an Instagram account involved in the sports niche, right? I used to create tons of edits. I used to be heavily involved in the basketball realm on Instagram. I was able to accumulate up to 115,000 followers. My page essentially emerged into a trending sensation in the NBA world, ladies and gentlemen. There was at a point in time where I was getting paid from posting reels consistently. Despite all of that fame, despite all of the compensation that I was able to retain, believe it or not, I was still miserable because I was strictly posting for that. And there were many times where some of my videos, they weren't even eclipsing the amount of views that I expected it to eclipse. I wasn't making the amount of money that I may have expected to make within every single month. So I've been involved, or I've been a huge advocate for NBA basketball since I was in middle school. I'm still a huge advocate and follower for NBA basketball. I enjoy watching sports in general. However, me committing myself to that hobby, you would immediately think that I am having the time of my life. But I, as well, became susceptible to attaching my happiness with analytics and something materialistic. So, yes, on the surface, this YouTube channel may not be the most reputable, but on Instagram, I still have that Instagram page as well. But my Instagram account has proven experience, a proven track record and pedigree of virality, I would say. I have experience in the field. And I experienced this conundrum that I'm referring to at first hand. And it's not fun. It's really not fun. It's really not. It'll cause depression, even while you have everything in the world, everything you may ask for, everything you could be grateful for. My happiness was still impaired. It was still incomplete because of social media, because of the angle that I was posting content with, you guys. So it caused me to commit to this indefinite hiatus. I stopped posting content on that Instagram page mid 2024, and ever since then I've been on and off with posting content. Like, I've taken various times where, I went on 8 months high. I mean, probably not exactly 8 months, but I would say an 8 to 11 month hiatus, for example. Come back to the space, post edits here and there, and then just immediately take another hiatus indefinitely. That is a clear indication of me losing my passion. And I have two reasons. One reason being understandable. One of the reasons being that I prioritized my academics. I wanted to focus more on school, as well as, like I said, my happiness wasn't really, I lost my happiness. So, I'm thinking to myself, why would I post on this Instagram account despite the virality that I was able to accumulate, despite all the hard work, when I'm not even passionate about it anymore, And ever since, my consistency on that account hasn't really been anything of substance, I would say. It's been lackadaisical. So me pivoting to this side of the content creation world, I would say, like, talking about the gospel, talking about my thoughts, this has become something that I have become extremely passionate about, I would say. And this time, I am posting content with a completely different angle, strictly being myself, strictly being whoever resonates with my content. If you guys are willing to give it a like, if you guys are willing to subscribe, if you guys are willing to watch the entirety of my videos, great. But if you guys aren't willing to subject yourself to that, then by all means, no hard feelings. I'm still going to love what I do. Despite lacking money, despite lacking views, I'm not posting content for gratification or for analytics. And I have been having a time of my life. Clear discrepancy between my arc of being an NBA content creator on Instagram compared to my arc of creating content on this YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Significantly different, not even remotely comparable. So if you guys are an upcoming content creator, I mean, you guys could do whatever you want. It's your life at the end of the day, but I urge you to take my advice. And I promise you, your content creation journey will be exhilarating. I promise you, everything that I'm saying could be something that you can apply within yourself. And depending on the circumstance, depending on the variant, I would say, circumstantial things, mentality, motives, whatever I'm saying right now to you could be life altering in the most positive way possible. Do content for you. Post content because you love it. Post it for the love of the game. Do not do it for anything else. With that being said, that will officially conclude my ramble session. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys the next time I feel led to record another video. Take care.